And Jan, this is kind of counterthought at this point, counterintuitive to say that the retail industry is facing these things, and that may be where the rest of the market's heading. Why don't you just talk about your years in retail, what you've seen over time, and what you're seeing now?
Well, it's just retailing. It's not rocket science. And 6 months ago, every retailer I talked to was saying, I just boosted wages by 10% at the starting level, and I can't keep the place full of people. So about 4 weeks ago, when I first heard somebody say things were easing, I kind of thought it was a fluke. And after asking around, some of the retailers said things like, well, maybe this is a blip, maybe it's temporary, but right now it seems like there are plenty of people willing to take starting level wage jobs. And so much so that we might be able to roll back that 10% premium we put in to get people in the door. Now, that was news, right? Because these are $20 an hour jobs. They're not $50 an hour jobs, and they're not tech jobs where people are doing all these layoffs. So people say to me, well, that can't be right. And why? Because JOLTS, just like you said, is great. There's 10.5 million jobs out there. There's only 6.5 million people looking. Labor participation isn't going up. It could. It's not nearly to 2019 levels. Unemployment, 4%, not the 5 or less than 4%, not the 5 or 6% we need to get job softening. And if that's all true, how can it be true that maybe it is softening? And it's because retailers see the stuff before the numbers show it up. And my guess is just not showing up in the data yet.
How much of this could be a seasonal? How much of this could be a seasonal issue, though? I mean, this is the time of year when retailers don't need as many.
This is not seasonal. No, 6 months ago it wasn't seasonal because they were building up for the season. A month ago, when I first heard this, they were in the peak of having to have people in the stores. So it could be seasonal going forward, but they also know that. When you talk to a retailer, they know what they're doing on seasonal help. This is starting wages and being able to keep the place full. I don't think this is a seasonal issue. And the reason I think they're seeing it first is because, as I tell you all the time, for 20 years when I was in the business, every Fed district called us and said, what are you seeing in your business? Just like they did every retailer. Why'd they do that? Because we knew we saw it happen first. So if retailers are starting to roll back wages, we could see an actual drop in wage inflation, not just a peaking of wage inflation. Nobody's expecting that at the Fed. Everyone thinks that inflation discretionary goods has peaked, and everyone thinks it will peak soon in wages, but they think wages are sticky and they'll fall really slow. Certainly, wages are more sticky than selling prices. So inflation rates will certainly fall faster in goods than in wages. But if wage inflation is about to hit an air pocket, the Fed could get surprised by that. And it's either telling us the recession is going to be deeper than people are talking about, or it's telling us the Fed might pivot when they realize this is happening. I don't know which one of those is the truth. And we don't even know if my preliminary data here is any good because it's just anecdotal from retailers. But that's usually how it starts when wages start to change either up or down.
Jan, layer in this, though. There are something like half of the states that have higher minimum wage laws that are rolling into effect as of this month. How does that kind of match up with what you're hearing, too?
None of the people I talk to are paying minimum wage, right? You're talking about going to $15 in most places, and we're talking about $20 an hour jobs. So I don't think it's a minimum wage issue. I don't think that's going to affect the starting wages in my kind of retail. That may affect it in restaurants and places like that, but it's not going to in these big broadline retailers.